didn't play very good today. Gavin Van Kempen didn't come out great. He had been battling a little bit of injury. We thought that he was in a good place physically. Unfortunately, I don't think his shoulder was feeling really good, so put us in a tough situation going .1 innings. Obviously, you want your starters to go deeper in the game. Ben McDougal came in and did a nice job, had first and third, one out, got a fly ball to center field that resulted in a sac fly, and then got out of that inning, ended up going 2.2 innings. Had a rough last inning when he was in there. Chase Meyer came in with bases loaded, got a double play ball. It was a huge pitch for that game. It was 3-2. So we were still in the ball game, but ended up giving up big home run to their big home run hitter, Ballinger. Glasscock got his opportunity, which was great. And then the story of the game for us on a positive note was certainly Robbie Porco. Went 4 innings, 1 hit. He started the first weekend of the season and the second, a few weekends in a row. And Robbie Porco, we really believed in him. We thought that he could be a weekend starter for us, and he wasn't quite ready. And he went back to work, and he's been throwing simulated scrimmages essentially the entire year when he hasn't been pitching. So for him to get his opportunity and do what he did tonight was massive for that kid. 66 pitches against a really good offense, 4 innings, 1 hit, and 5 strikeouts. So for us, this so far in the 2 losses that we faced, we do feel like we've potentially picked up a couple arms, which is a great feeling, in Cole Fairman and Robbie Porco.
How big was Ellis Garcia's pinch hit home run? He's a guy who hasn't hit much this season. How big is that to come in the bottom of the 9th inning when you needed that, essentially?
That was great. The bench did an incredible job. We brought in bench players in every situation tonight because we thought they gave us the best opportunity to win the game. There are no freebie at-bats. There are no feel-good at-bats. There's never going to be an at-bat that's given to somebody that's not deserving. And so we thought that every player that came in was a better option than the players that we started because of how the at-bats went. And they really answered the call. I was proud of what Ben Lumsden did. I was perfectly fine with what Guzman did. Barnett hit a ball hard. Ellis Garcia got in there and battled against a really good closer, throwing 94 to 96, and hit a pull side 2-run homer. So, what an awesome thing for that guy, an awesome thing for our team. Our bench and our bullpen, some of the players that haven't got in, they have remained hungry and diligent in their work the entire season. And so when you see guys like a Porco and Ellis Garcia, a Lumsden get better and then show up in a Big 12 game and perform, you can't do that by accident. That takes dedication and work. It's very easy to quit working when you're not in there every day and basically lay down. And those kids have not laid down. They've done the opposite. They've gotten better. And so I was very proud of some of their efforts.
You're happy with your team's effort?
No, I wasn't. I thought we played very poorly and didn't execute. I thought it was one of our worst games of the season when it comes to execution. And so this game is one big game of execution, playing catch, throwing strikes, having approach, sticking to it, winning pitches. So I think it was one of our worst games of the season, and I'm responsible for that and preparing the guys to be in a position to play good baseball. But tonight we didn't play good baseball starting from the very first inning.
Does that surprise you at all that was the effort, especially coming off last night's game?
I don't know if it has anything to do with last night's game, and I don't want to call it effort necessarily. I think I would prefer to call it focus or intent, probably, just because effort is not something that I'm going to question from my team that just won a Big 12 title and has 40 wins. That's not fair. I think intent and focus and long seasons, you do have to check yourself with your focus and what are you prioritizing and what really matters and what are the things that you're deciding to let in and what is part of your daily routine and what are your thoughts and where are you at mentally? Those things need to be checked without a doubt, but effort doesn't need to be checked.
Coach, coming into the series, you played 9 of your 12 games on the road. Maybe fatigue settle in with these guys a little bit.
Yeah, really easy to go there. This week, we didn't have a midweek game. So you play a ton of road games, and our schedule is a complete ass-kicking, and we travel more than any team in the country, and we fly commercial, and yada, yada, yada. Nobody wants to hear about your circumstances. And so this week we had no midweek, and so you can either say that we're fatigued or we had more time off our feet than we ever have. And so I think it's how you frame it, and it's our job and our responsibility to put players in a good situation to perform well at a high level, and it's the kids' jobs to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. And so fatigue, yes, but another team has had to play 50 games and travel across the country and fly into Pittsburgh and get here and sleep in hotel beds as well. So I don't think fair to probably go there, and if I did, probably not doing our team justice.
Grant is most likely one of your better bunters. Is that playing into the decision to bunt him and then also have him bunt with 2 strikes?
Yeah. One of the best starters in the league. His last outing, he went 8 innings with 10 punch-outs, and he just repeated that performance essentially. 8 innings and 10 punch-outs. So if you sit there and you don't do anything, he has a chance of making easy work of you and keeping his pitch count down. So in the very first inning, Gavin Kelly had a swinging bunt. We executed a hit and run. Kyle West hit and run. The guy's about a 1-2 to the plate, so it's almost impossible to steal off of him straight. So we run a hit and run, and we get something going first and second, and we end up scoring a run to make it 1-1. Later on, when we had first and second, he has one of the best changeups. So this guy actually performs better versus left-handed hitters than right-handed hitters, which is a reverse split. Normally, righties do better against righties. So in that circumstance, first and second in a tie ball game against one of the best starters in the league, if you're able to put some runs up early on, you feel like you might be able to get to him. And so bunting in that situation, he's one of the most skilled bunters on our team. And then Chase Swain has a little bit higher ground ball rates, so traditionally on the ground. So if you're able to avoid the strikeout and avoid the double play, you're in a really good situation there, and you stay aggressive and you force people to make plays. So we don't get the bunt down, and then Chase Swain hits a ground ball, which is what happens with a guy with higher ground ball rates and a guy that throws changeups that are sinking below the zone, and we turn a double play and score no runs. And so what we were trying to avoid there ended up happening, and it all goes back to the execution side.
Coach, you guys, I don't know, the first 3.5, 4 months of the season, you wrote this fantastic story. How do you keep the last month from I don't know if tarnish is the right word, but
Yeah.
put in a damper?
Yeah, you're speaking my language, because I do think it's about stories and chapters, and that's what this thing is. It's not a picture book, it's a chapter book. And so there are different chapters throughout the season. And so told the team after tonight that I am not concerned with the win or loss tonight. The big picture of that, of what we're trying to accomplish, it's actually meaningless. What we do have to do is play good baseball eventually, and we have to be in a really good position to play good baseball and be energized and focus and have intent. We said we wanted to electrify the state. We wanted to try to compete for everything, and we wanted to make the community, the state, and the university proud. And so those were kind of our big goals in the beginning. So tonight's game, win or loss, is a little bit meaningless, but how we played, our intent and focus is everything. It's the only thing that matters. And so, like you said, different chapters. I wouldn't put the whole chapter into like dominating, playing great. There's different chapters of why we played good and how we responded, and road games and all these things, conference and non-conference, and win streaks, and failure, and all those things along the way. And then probably the last week or two has been a different chapter. So like now it's about how do you write this story, because the truth is the story hasn't been written at all. We're still in the regular season. So it's just very early, and so it's not about playing good today. It's about playing really good late. And so it happens all the time. You see teams that have success late, and they got hot and they found something. And so for me, it's always about how do you find that something. And so although pissed with how we played, I'm going, did you guys just watch Robbie Porco? Like, there might be something that's legitimate. That might be what allows us to really cook in the future. And so you have these like individual chapters of the season that you're trying to write, but then you have each kid's individual story, and you're going like, is Fairman and Porco and Ellis Garcia, does he have a bigger part in this chapter book than we thought? Do they need to be in there more? Is Lumsden, he's 2 for his last 2 or what, 2 for his last 3 or whatever? And so that's the puzzle. That's the piece that we're trying to figure out and that we're going to get right. But it takes intentful work, and it takes intensity and effort, and it takes the kids to really want it and all those things. So you're definitely that's how I think in my head.
With the conference title locked up, regular season finale tomorrow, senior day, any plans to do anything fun lineup-wise, or?
No.
But the situation with Grant getting out there at second, do you say anything to him, or is that a situation where you know he possibly learned from his mistakes and you just let it go?
No, I got to say something to him. Yep, got to address it. Been addressed twice in the last 2 hours, so Grant knows where I'm at on that.
Guys like Lumsden, Ellis, Porco, who probably thought they would have maybe a little bigger role heading into the season. How do you communicate with them to stay like mentally in it and their time's going to come?
It's a challenge for the coaching staff, but it's a bigger challenge for the players. Like, they basically have to make the decision if they want to work while they wait or if they want to go backwards. And so it's a coming to Jesus moment for those kids where it's essentially their identity and character is going to be revealed on how they decide to live their life. And so usually early on there's some struggles and guys go back and forth, and the good ones come out the other side that there's really no option. You can either work and be prepared and get better, or you can not work and not be prepared and get worse and sabotage yourself. And so some do choose to sabotage themselves, but those kids are great kids and really good players that made the right decision. So it's really up to them. Thanks, guys.